So we exited the car washes. We built these car washes that I mentioned earlier, and we sold out our position. I think at the end of 2020 or the first part of 2021.
How many did you
Right
have?
at that point, we had four that were operational. They were under the brand Wash U. Then
Mhm.
we had two that we owned the land, took it through the entitlement process. We were ready to break ground on those. What had happened is it was right around COVID. When we did the car washes, the family office happened to have a hot dog empire that they sold.
Oh, there you go.
So when we opened up the first one and, and the city came over there for the grand opening, we jokingly said, when you go through there, we just be, feeding you guys hot dogs and
Right,
fries.
right.
Obviously didn't work with the water, but
Yeah.
yeah, the drive-through, I gotta tell you, is a really, really cool and unique aspect. We've done 800 million meals internationally,
Yeah.
been to the White House, got awards from former President Barack Obama and George W. and the award for the work that our charity has done. And it's a passion. It's
Awesome.
talking to the kids, getting them involved. How do we teach people?
And that's why Bill and I are giving back to the community, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Helping out. And unfortunately, people sometimes when they run, they think about power and how I can use that power.
Mhm.
And that's not something that I was looking at. It's even at Burlington College. I look at to help people, not because of the power that I have.
Yeah. Did you know there's a technology that's actually an app on your phone that uses sound waves to tell your brain what you want your brain to do? We had a young man that was on a guest on our podcast, the Mike Litton Experience, who had a traumatic brain injury. He was sleeping 3 hours a night. He's using Newcalm now and he's sleeping more. Go to newcalm.com, Mike15 promo code. Newcalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off. Go today.
Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. Mike is passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
Bill Kanatas, Ben Salzburg, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. I'm super excited for our time together. And like we talked about before we hit record, everybody has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. So, with your
sure.
permission, we're going to start with where you were born and go up to today. And then we want to talk about this amazing stuff you guys are doing with self storage and helping people grow their money and the whole thing. I think it's really cool what you guys are doing, and I cannot thank you enough for being here. Thanks again, guys.
Well,
Absolutely.
Mike, thank you so much for having us on the show. I really appreciate it. Telling our story and our life, is just so important because that's what makes us us, right?
Yeah.
And people want to deal with good people out there. I know I do. And there's so many people, that are great people.
Yeah.
And so, that's what we like to work with, great people. And, I think that our life path has always been like that to work with those people.
Yeah. So if it's
You know,
okay, we're going to start with Bill. Is that okay?
oh, I don't know. I mean, of course
I'm
it's
older,
okay.
so why
Bill,
not?
Who won the
Bill,
coin flip, right?
you know what? Bill won the coin flip.
Yeah,
I just
well,
had to
Bill was
start it
on
off
first.
somehow.
Bill was
Bill, why
on
don't you go
first, like
ahead?
2 seconds before you, right?
Sure. So, how long you want this story? Because I have stories. I love telling stories. So
Well,
you
I
give me a
love the fact that you
platform.
love telling stories. I do too, as a matter of fact. That's kind of why we started this.
Oh man, I could
We're
talk
all about
about.
stories here. So let's just start with where you were born, Bill.
Sure. So up to a couple of years ago, I didn't realize I was an immigrant. I was born in Greece in 1965.
Uh-huh.
Came here. I was only 2 years old. And the funny story is, I was just talking to my wife about something. We were talking about immigration a couple of years ago, and she looks at me. She goes, "Well, you're an immigrant, right?" I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm not an immigrant. I'm an American." And she goes,
Yeah.
"Well, you weren't born here." I'm like, "You know what? You're pretty smart." She has her master's, so she's a little smarter than I am. But we came here in 1967. Like every European family, they wanted to do something better for their children, educate them in the United States. It was my dad's goal to come here. We had three. He had three kids. I have an older brother, older sister, and my brother became an architect, got his master's degree here, and he went back in 1982 just to visit, and he got recruited by a, um, a European company, I believe it was an English firm, and they paid him a lot of money, so he decided to stay. And my father was so happy. He said, "All right, first kid moved back home. Now, if I can get the other two to move back to Greece, it'll be a success story." But never happened. I love this country, and I did a lot of stuff here and never moved. So got married about 30 years ago, and that's when I started my real estate career. Prior to that, I was actually involved in the record business of all things.
Wow.
So I had my own label, lived in New York City, and one day we got fired by our distributor. They were paying us money to distribute our records, and we were doing pretty well. And they tried cutting our budgets one year. This was probably 1995, I would say. Yeah, 94 actually, 94, 95. And one of my partners at the time said, they're not going to cut our budgets. In fact, I'm going to go to Minneapolis and I'm going to come back with a bigger budget for us for next year.
Hmm.
And I said, that sounds great. So he came back and he goes, so they dropped us. I said, wow, thanks,
Whoops.
David. Oops, that backfired on us. So my wife was a paralegal at the time. She goes, well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You just lost your company. And I said, I love real estate. How difficult can this be? Right.
Yeah.
So I bought my first single family home. And at the time we were living in an apartment. So we were renting, but I wanted to be, an investor. So I bought my first home. And my wife said, well, I work with this company. It's called it was a Bankers Nationwide Mortgage. And we know the guy very well. Why don't you go get a loan from him? I said,
Hmm.
perfect. I walked into his office and he said, what are you doing? I said, well, currently I'm unemployed. I did own a company and now I don't have one. And he goes, well, why don't you come work for me and I'll teach you how to buy this house with no money down. I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem so hard. No money down. How do I do this? Right.
Right.
So I did my first deal with no money down. I was actually a broker at the time, a mortgage broker. And 6 months into it, I didn't like my boss anymore. So I said, hey, how about I buy you out? And he said, fine. He goes, go get me 100 G's and you can buy out my license and buy me out. So I went to a friend of mine, gave me $100,000, bought him out and bought my first mortgage company. After that, I did a commercial mortgages. After that, I did my own developing because we were loaning money to developers.
Yeah.
So I built retail strip centers and office buildings and office condos all up to 2008. And then I'm not sure what happened in 2008. Somebody
Yeah.
told me a story. So I try to just jump over that
Yeah.
part.
Somebody said something went pear shaped, right?
Something
I hear it. I hear it through the grapevine.
I was too young to remember. So
Jeez. I wish I was.
yeah, I was too. But you know what? They gave us an opportunity. So we
Yeah.
then bought stuff. I bought a big property out of bankruptcy and brought some investors together and did something really good. It was over 100,000 square foot. And we took that, turned it around, did really well for ourselves and our investors. And then after that, we started building car washes and we got that off the ground. That did very well. Sold that to private equity in 2021. And that brings us to where Ben and I are today. We started to get involved in self storage, opened up our first one in 2021. And I'll tell you, it's fun.
Yeah.
As Ben said, we love working with people and we have a lot of partners and friends and investors. And here we are today on your show. I mean, what could be better than landing on the Mike Litton show? So
See?
it- my
See?
30 years led
It's
me to today.
amazing.
Absolutely amazing, right? So where did you grow up?
Um, my dad's goal was to never buy a house, to save money, send it back home, and move there one day. That was
Okay.
his goal. So we never had, you might say we never had a secure household growing
Yeah.
up. So we grew up in the Chicagoland. When we first came to America, we went to California. You needed a sponsor, right? Somebody to be responsible for you, get you a job. You can't just come here and didn't have everything all set up. So my aunt lived in San Francisco, so we lived there. But it was very, very difficult. Small home, actually, it was an apartment, and they had a family of six, and we had a family of five, so it was 11 of us, one bathroom, and that didn't go very well.
Yeah.
So my mom said, "Well, I have an aunt in Chicago," so we got on a train, came to Chicago, lived on the south part of Chicago. And then as the neighborhood changed, we moved a little bit north, and as the neighborhood changed, we moved a little bit north,
Mhm.
and then we moved a few more times, and then I moved to New York City and had an apartment there. Then when I came back, I bought my own place. So yeah, we
Cool.
moved around.
So growing up in Chicago, what was your favorite thing about growing up there?
To this day, I love stuffed pizza. So
Say it again.
to this day, I love stuffed pizza. So growing up in
Stuffed
Chicago,
pizza.
I love the
Oh,
food.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I love the food. And we have great architecture. My brother was an architect, so he studied architecture. So, you know, he was 10 years older than me. So as I saw him going to school, I kind of had a fond experience following him around, looking at some of the Chicago architecture.
Yeah. So growing up, who was the most influential person to you?
So if I would say growing up, it was really my adult life and it was my first boss.
Okay.
He really took a liking to me. He was also an immigrant in this country. I started working in a restaurant and he hired me I unfortunately I didn't finish college. I got sick during college,
Mm.
and I had taken some time off. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, while you're getting back to health, I want you to come work at this restaurant with me." So I was probably 20 years old at the time,
Mm.
and this guy kind of took me under my wing. He was also an immigrant to this country. He had owned, I think, 5 or 6 restaurants, built something for himself. So
Wow.
I kind of had him as a role model, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. Until the day he died, we were friends. And actually, he was the guy who gave me the 100 G's to buy the mortgage company.
There you
So
go.
no paperwork, handshake. He knew me, loved me,
Yeah,
trusted me. It was the best.
that's
Yeah, he was a
cool.
great guy.
That's cool. In high school, did you have a favorite subject other than
Y-
recess
yeah.
Yeah.
So I
or
graduated.
girls?
Yeah, all 3. I graduated high school in 3 years. So I had a problem studying. I wanted let's
Yeah,
go. The teachers were too slow for me. I wanted to
yeah,
get into college. I wanted to get into life.
yeah.
So I went to summer school, and I also went to night school in order to get enough credits I can graduate a year early. But theater, I loved acting. I loved it, and I was good at it. So I was behind the stage. I was a stage manager and acted in our plays in high school.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I wasn't good at sports. I wasn't I tried wrestling. My friend talked me into wrestling. He's like, "You got to get into wrestling. It's really great." And I said, "Great." And I did it. And I just wanted to be part of the crowd. And I remember my first match, the guy picked me up, body slammed me. Match was over maybe 30 seconds.
Mhm.
And I walked in the next day, gave my outfit back to the coach. And I said, "I'm going to theater."
This is not for me. They
Not for
literally
me.
don't put you in a chokehold in the theater.
No, they don't. No, they don't. So, but high school was fun, and it's a funny story. Last week, my buddy came here from St. Louis visiting, and he got our high school buddies together. It was 7 of us, and we all hung out together, and we sat there for 3 hours just telling high school stories,
That's
and it
cool.
was great. It was great.
That's cool. Did you have a favorite teacher in high school?
Yeah, I guess my favorite teacher would have been our drama teacher. His name was Mr. Vant.
Yeah,
And he gave us a lot of leadway to
yeah.
do what we wanted to do. He trusted us. And matter of fact, that was one of the stories we just told the other day. We had the catwalks, those rafters.
Mhm.
So if I were to ditch school, which I didn't, but if I were to ditch a class, me and my buddies would be up in the rafters where nobody would find you.
That never happened, right? That
No,
just so we're clear, for the
no,
record, never
no,
happened.
never happened. And to go to a Chicago Cubs game, the bus stop was only a block away from the high school. So if we were to ever ditch school and go to a Cubs game, it was only a block away to get there.
Yeah. I feel like I'm interviewing O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Ah,
If I did it, right? Right?
Yeah. If
Wasn't
I
that the
did
name
it,
of his
yeah.
book?
I don't know. Is it? Yeah.
I think it may be. I don't know
Yeah, if I did it, something like that, right?
if
Yeah.
I did it.
High
Bill,
school was
thank you.
fun.
Ben, you've been waiting patiently. Where were
And,
you born?
So I was born in Skokie. My parents came here from Europe after the war,
Yeah.
and had me. I was a bouncy baby boy
Mhm.
in Skokie. So I grew up in Northbrook. We They moved to Northbrook later on. I went to school, good schools. I went to U of I Champaign for
Yeah.
engineering, mechanical. I got my MBA at Stewart School of Business, IIT. I specialize in quality, Six Sigma Lean. I'm a master
Mhm.
black belt from Motorola and from the school. And then I have a master's in teaching
Oh, that's
from
cool.
National Louis. And throughout my career, I've been a turnaround guy, change management.
Mhm.
So CEOs are call me up like Amtrak or ADP or AbbVie to consult these very large corporations and save them money or from going bankrupt. So I've been doing that for a long time. Amtrak was selling their air rights to Boeing at the time, to Boeing in Chicago,
Mhm.
and they wanted to build their building on top of the railroad track. And so I was dealing with negotiating with the air rights in 1999. And I'm like, hey, I love this stuff. Real estate's
Mhm.
for me.
Yeah.
And so I got a managing broker real estate license. And I've been doing real estate for a long time now,
Yeah.
being an engineer. Love problem solving. That's kind of in my bones.
Mhm.
And so, I have a lot of education knowledge. Matter of fact, I was inspired by people. My dad was a teacher,
Mm,
and he worked at. He's actually one of the founders of Oakton College.
mhm,
It's a community college here in Illinois. They have three areas, three campuses: Skokie, Des Plaines, and now in Evanston. And I'm like, hey, later on in life, I'm like, well, maybe I'll run as trustee.
mhm,
And we have to run in Illinois. And so, as the elections, they have to vote for us.
mhm,
And so, I won a term, and then I won a second term. They're 6-year terms.
mhm,
I was chairman of Oakton. We rotate, and I went through all the different positions as secretary and vice chair and chairman. And so I've led, and I'm leading the school right now. And I'm very inspired by many different people,
mhm,
helping people because I love helping people. I'm a people's person.
mhm,
I did run for state senate before in Illinois. I had a pretty good. I was like 41 or 42% against an incumbent, so I was pretty happy with that.
mhm.
But a lot of work to do that. Shortly after I ran for state senate, I met Bill, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to just like focus on what we're doing. I can't play around anymore with running for state senate. What is this? And so, I did that. But yeah, so I've have a very diversified background. I've led thousands, tens of thousands of people to success for corporations. I've saved many jobs for families. Amtrak, I saved from going broke. They had me, believe it or not, when in 1999, Amtrak didn't have funding anymore,
Yeah.
and they called me up for emergency. The CEO and the president of Amtrak and said, "We're in trouble, Ben." And they
Wow.
tapped my shoulder, and I said, "Okay, what's going on?" They told me what was going on. I focused. I was in the CFO office looking at all the different types of books where we're losing money. I targeted about 35 projects in
Mm,
about 6 months and allowed them to recoup a lot of the costs so they can survive. And they tapped me from a different company, and I was able to increase their sales margin 250%. And that was when
wow.
Motorola and Lucent Technologies, they were this was a subcontracting company I was working for as a leader for the
Mhm.
company. And they were like, oh my God, if Ben can do that, then he can save Amtrak.
Yeah.
And so there was a word on the street that they needed me to go over there.
That's
And so
cool.
I love, like I said, I love helping people. The projects that Bill and I have are incredible. And my inspiration is my dad. You're talking about who inspired you, who
Yeah.
was the person. And so my dad is a Holocaust survivor, so is my mom. And so, the inspiration and my drive really come from them because there's no better way to have for as an example of survival, right?
Yeah.
And so, no matter what we do and how bad we have it, we don't have it bad.
Yeah.
And so it's I always look at myself as the lowest I can go, and then I think about what happened with my dad. I'm like, no, no, I'm pretty good shape.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's I have my inspiration, my true inspiration come from Deming.
Mhm.
Dr. Deming, for quality, to understand processes and systems and to make sure that when you do something, you do it right the first time
Yeah.
and set everything up right and to make sure that it's sustainable. And that's my kind of inspiration in life is as far as a person goes.
So growing up, what was your favorite thing about growing up in Northbrook?
Well, oh my god, it was, there's so many I live next to a golf course, I can play golfing, the neighborhood's just so beautiful. In school, in high school, I used to do, hands-on activities like, machine building,
Mm,
and I used to build homes, I took a course building homes and houses, and so I did all that stuff. Even, engineering's a lot of math. I
mhm.
wouldn't say math was my favorite subject, but working physically and welding and all that was great. I love all
Yeah.
that stuff, and Northbrook had it.
Yeah.
Northbrook had all these subjects where other schools didn't have that yet,
Yeah.
and so it's just I loved it. Love the people, I when my parents moved there, it was like a farmland,
Mhm.
like everything else, right? People things grow, population grows, and so and now it's like a bustling town, and city, but before it was just like, where's my dad moving me to? It's like I see a cow, I think in the distance. Is that a cow? So, that's I loved it. Northbrook was a fantastic and is a fantastic place to live still.
Did you have a favorite subject in high school?
Yeah, I mean, I think that getting back to that, yeah, the favorite subject was I believe building homes, like building, engineering, and building, and maintenance. I love all that stuff. Welding, um, math, science. At that time, I really I didn't really want it, but
Yeah.
now college, yes, high school, no.
It's interesting. You're not really into math in high school, but you end up with a mechanical engineering degree from University of Illinois,
Right. I used to
right?
study. I used to study at home, math. My
Wow.
dad's like, "You sit down and study math."
Oh,
But yeah, I
dad
was
was
doing
cracking the
that.
whip, huh?
Yeah, he was. He really was. And I was like, didn't want to study math in high school, take a course. So my course was at home with my dad.
I got you.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. In high
And,
school, did you have a favorite teacher?
um, you know what? God, there's so many teachers. I forget what the name was. I used to take photography. And I won a, Kodak Award taking photography.
Hmm.
I forgot what his name was. I think it was, Mr. Stevens. I think that was his name. And it was, photography, it was like color and dark room. And I got to the highest point where, I was like advanced in dark room, photography for development, and they didn't have the machine. They had to buy it just for me.
Hmm.
And I took photography for 4 years. And I used to, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and asked me to take, wedding pictures for them for their wedding. And I did. I was, 17 years old. I couldn't believe it.
That was an
Uh,
experience.
oh my god, it was amazing. It was great. I loved it. I loved it. I love all these weird things.
Yeah.
And that's something about me that, thinking out of the box, doing the different activities, that's what really excites me.
Yeah. It sounds like it. So you run for state office.
Yes.
Can you talk about that for a second? Because I'll bet there's a bunch of people here that are listening to this that haven't even dreamed of doing something like that.
Well, at the time, I want to put my hand in the ring and help
Yeah.
people and problem solve a state. And At that time, you had people in Illinois, um, you know, definitely not the quality people that we should have. And so I ran, talked to probably hundreds of thousands of people, literally.
Hmm.
And there's so many people that in so much need. I mean, my heart was broken,
Yeah.
because their house was being taken away or they couldn't survive because of the job market. And they would tell me all sorts of stories. And so it became really a reality to me. It wasn't just like, oh, let me like all excited and like, all politics. It really, there's a huge humanistic, down to earth
Yeah.
view to people and how they are. I mean, people are people. They have lives, they have children, they
Yeah.
have to, eat, eating, disadvantaged people who can't eat, can't buy food.
Hmm.
All those people. And Bill can tell you a little bit what he's doing for helping those people. And this is something that you're like, oh my God, I could help these people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, politics sometimes gets over into people's heads, but the end result is really helping people and loving people.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, people sometimes when they run, they think about power and how I can use that power.
Hmm.
And that's not something that I was looking at. It's even at Burlington College. I look at to help people, not because of the power that I have.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work running, getting campaign money, trying to debating on stage, on TV. You ask these questions, you may not even know what to say. People won't agree with you 100%
Yeah.
anywhere. And the weirdest thing I can tell you right now is when you walk down the street and somebody says, "Hi Ben, how are you doing?" and you have no idea who they are
Yeah.
because those people have been watching you and going up and down the street. And they know you, but you don't know them. That
Yeah.
was the weirdest thing. It's like, and you think about, hey, should I know you? But you
Hmm.
really don't. So, but so I think, overall, running for state senate or running for, different positions, if you don't like, what you see, and to the listeners right now, if you don't like what you see out there, vote,
Mhm.
because that's something that you can do, right? You
Yeah,
can vote and to change things up.
that's awesome. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How did it make you feel when you sat with people and they shared with you how rough things were for them?
Um, it made me feel like I wanted to change and
Yeah,
help them out,
yeah,
to change the system. And if I can do anything for them, if I can get them a job or a contact or help them out financially or do something with them, that's how it made me feel.
yeah.
You
Kind of
know,
like why
I
you ended up in real estate and liked it so much. You're a problem solver, right?
Yeah, I am. I mean, like every individual like thing, I'm a problem solver. But I was looking for, my niche in real estate and storage and all this stuff is definitely my niche, right?
Yeah,
Because that's what I like to do and I love to do that. But really what got me into like wanting to do different things is when I met with Bill because of his personality and who he is. I
yeah,
really enjoyed who he is, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a match.
yeah.
And so that's what I really, enjoy in real estate.
I got you. We're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how the two of you met. And we're also going to talk about what amazing things you're doing to help people help their money grow. We'll be right back. Did you know there's an app that has no side effects that allows you to use sound waves to tell your brain what you want it to do? It's called newcalm.com and it's amazing. It literally uses sound waves. If you want to tell your brain to go to sleep, if you want to tell your brain to recover, if you want to tell your brain to put you in peak physical state, if you want to tell your brain to focus, if you want to tell your brain to take a power nap, you can do all of these things and more with newcalm.com. Go to newcalm.com today, promo code Mike15. Newcalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off. Go there today. And we're back with Bill and Ben, and we're talking about there were self-storage developers. We're talking about before we went to the break, we were getting to the point where we wanted to hear the story about how the two of you met. Bill, you want to take this one?
Absolutely. So Ben and I met at a brokerage house called Keller Williams, KW Commercial. So I started there in about, oh gosh, in '09, I got my real estate license right after, we were talking about something happened in '08. I forgot about that. But in '09, I decided to get my real estate license and I ended up working with a company called National Realty Network.
Mhm.
And they ended up merging, or let me rephrase that, the broker ended up investing in a Keller Williams franchise and they didn't have any commercial division. So we all went over there to open up the first KW commercial division here in Chicagoland area.
Mhm.
And we started doing some brokerage while we were doing our investing. And Ben came there shortly thereafter with his, experience in operations. Somebody at Keller Williams brought him over to run a team. So he came for a different reason. I was there for a different reason. And then Ben and I were talking about developing, and it was quickly a match. We
Mhm.
decided we would start doing some development together, and we've been doing it ever since. And to Ben's point earlier, he's a problem solver. We don't have any problems in the office anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before Ben, we had some. Then Ben came, and then we didn't have any more problems. So he's always solving problems around here, if there is
Yeah.
any.
And that's cool, man. That's cool. Kind of a jack of all trades, right? Like every
Yeah,
time you turn around, there's something pops up in business and it's
absolutely.
constant, right? There's always something happening. And to have somebody like you, Ben, that solves problems and figures out ways to smooth things over and make things work, man, you people like you are invaluable in a
Yeah,
business.
yeah.
Absolutely invaluable.
Thanks.
Um,
Sometimes it's like an orchestra where he's the conductor,
yeah,
right? So we're trying to figure out who we're going to do. And
yeah,
other times the plate is spinning, and we got to run and make sure we keep spinning it before we go to the next plate, right?
exactly.
But
Exactly. There's a lot of that going on in business. No
absolutely,
kidding. So I actually,
entrepreneurship.
full disclosure, I owned a Keller Williams office residential
Oh,
for 18
great!
years out here in
Wow.
California. So yeah, so we've chewed some of the same dirt, not
Right.
just the Keller Williams part.
Keller
But,
Williams, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Well, we work with
Good
Joe
company.
Williams still to this day, so
Yeah.
he can be a great guy to have on your show too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So so I just had somebody on the other day that was an author of a book. And she sent me an advanced copy of her book. The second endorsement in her book was from Mo Anderson.
Oh, great.
Wow.
One of my
Yeah.
favorite people in the world still to this day.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of crazy that our worlds collided that way so closely,
Right.
and this gal had never been in real estate ever. She just was the head basketball coach of the women's
Yeah.
basketball program at Oklahoma University. So, but she
Wow.
wrote a book, and we had her on to talk about that. So,
That's great.
anyway, it's amazing what a small world it is, you guys. It's
Right.
unbelievable.
Right.
So,
I was
It really is. It is unbelievable.
yeah,
right.
It's some of it in real estate, especially in self storage, it's like a family.
yeah,
And I know that Keller Williams is also it's a
Right.
family.
it really is.
And so you're seeing the same people in that family helping each other out.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
it's very warming too.
yeah, that's
Yep.
true.
Well,
That's
Ben and
true.
I were involved in the culture committee a lot, and I was also
Oh, that's awesome.
voted an ambassador one year, so I had a chance to meet Mo.
Yeah,
But she is an amazing woman, and Keller Williams, through their charities, have done a lot of great work. So,
yeah, through
we're
Kennedy
very
Cares. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Okay, so let's talk about you two meet and you start building self-storage facilities. Talk
Yes.
about talk about that and talk about how it's going.
Sure. Ben, you want to take it or you want me to do it?
You can do it. Go ahead.
So we were just so we exited the car washes. We built these car washes that I mentioned earlier, and we sold out our position. I think at the end of 2020 or the first part of 2021.
How many did you have?
Right at that point, we had four that were operational. They were under the brand Wash U. Then
Hmm.
we had two that we owned the land, took it through the entitlement process. We were ready to break ground on those. What had happened is it was right around COVID, number one.
Yeah.
So we had stay-at-home action here in Illinois, so you couldn't go to work, right?
Hmm.
And at the same time, one of our lead investors that had a family office, he got taken ill. So
Oh,
he said, "Hey, if you guys want to buy out my position, I like to refocus on my health and what I'm doing in life." So private equity came in and they bought the company. There was eight of us that were founding members. Four stayed behind. Four took their money, and the four that stayed behind are doing well. They have grown that portfolio now. I believe we have 11 in the Chicagoland area and three operational in Nevada, with a
wow.
fourth one that's going to be operational soon. So they're doing well, but we wanted to take the chips off the table at
Yeah.
that time and concentrate on self storage. So Ben and I bought a Burlington coat factory in November of 2021,
Hmm.
and we converted it into a self storage facility that's being operated by Public Storage.
Hmm.
In fact, Ben and I were there this morning, just kind of we go there, walk around, make sure that everything is being done right. Even though Public Storage operates it and they're an amazing company, we love
Yeah.
them. We want to make sure that we just walk in. It's like that secret shopper, right? You walk in,
Hmm.
hey, is the floor cleaned, and what does it look like outside, and
Hmm.
is everything being operated properly? And it was. So we started with our first one. It was a conversion. And then after that, we did a ground up where we went through the whole entitlement process. And, I'll go back to conversion for a second. The village was an eyesore for them. It was
Hmm.
closed down for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
They're having it on it was vacant. So they had it a little bit off the tax roll, even though it was still paying taxes. It wasn't paying to its full potential. So we went in there and brought it back to life. So the
Yeah.
village loved us for it. And Ben and I do have good experiences with villages. Ben being a
Hmm.
politician and having his background, when we sit down with these villages, a lot of these developers go in and they want,
Hmm.
and then they, show them these pretty boards of what they're going to build. And
Yeah.
then at the end of the day, it may not look anything like that.
Yeah.
And it has to be a win-win for the village and for us, right? Because it is a business and we're operating
Mhm.
it. It's something good for the community. And of course, you have investors that are writing a big check at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
they want to make sure that it's successful.
Sure.
So after that, we did one in Hanover Park, Illinois. We exited that one this year. We sold it in, I think maybe March of this year. We sold it.
Mhm.
Yes.
We have a third one that we're closing on the dirt in about 2 weeks. That one's also going to be a public storage, and that's a large one's about 128,000 square feet, three
Mm.
stories.
Wow.
What I love about these ground up is you really get to put the amenities in there that you love, right? That you think the community needs. So this one has a full drive-through. You drive your car, the door closes behind it. You have a speed door that opens and closes, and then while you're in there, you undo your car and you put your stuff in your lockers. And being in the Chicagoland area, we have snow, right? And
Yeah.
we have below zero. So this is an amenity which we didn't have in one of our earlier projects that we did.
Gotcha.
And we're developing something in Palmdale, California. That's a whole different model. We have solar on that one. We have boat an RV. We have canopies on that one. So, we have a flavor of where we're going to build them and what the design can look like
Mhm.
when you do the ground up.
And
Yeah.
they're all A-class facilities, 60, 70,000 plus
Mhm.
square foot.
Yeah.
Our
And rentable.
Burbank, I believe, not rentable, yes. I believe we have 900 units in one of our facilities. They're big. It's not like one of those facilities that you see drive on the wall, drive down the road that you
Yeah.
see, one story with a cow in there.
Right.
And I love my cows, but with the horse, whatever. We have it's very sophisticated. We have a lot of technology in these facilities,
Yeah.
and just it's focused around customer experience.
Right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
You
cool.
know,
Go ahead.
self-storage, I was gonna say self-storage is a, really unique asset class. I've
Mhm.
invested, I said earlier, multifamily, you name it, right? Office condos, strip centers. It performs good in all economies,
Mhm.
even in the bad ones. Matter of fact, in the bad economies, some people say it performs even better.
Mhm.
It's recession resilient, it's scalable, it's driven by life events. Ben and I will say, and everybody in the industry, there's 4 Ds. You got your death, divorce, dislocation, and downsizing.
Mhm.
So when there's an event, back to what Ben was saying earlier, how do we help people, right?
Mhm.
There's a death in the family, the children need to put this stuff away. So that's a solution for them. Somebody gets through divorce. It's unfortunate, but it happens, right? And people
Yeah.
need to relocate to their homes. They're buying, they're selling. So it's an asset class that really helps people.
Yeah.
Multifamily does too, but multifamily is more of a longer term, right?
Mhm.
And us, it's more of a solution for them short term, but could also be long term as well.
Gotcha. So, how do you like Storage Wars?
I watch. Actually, it's funny. I'm on an airplane going to our stores, like shows, or I watch on the airplane.
Did
And
it?
I do. I watch on the airplane.
Is it entertaining?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's funny. It's fun.
It's not
Um,
cringeworthy?
no, it's fun. I love it. That's one thing that you can do with storage. You can't do with multifamily is
Yeah.
kick them out after a month when they don't pay the rent.
Mhm.
Can't do that in a multifamily. You
Right.
have to go to court. You have to get an
Right.
eviction. You don't need that.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point. Good
Yeah.
point.
And also, multifamily, when you set a rental rate for the year, you're
Mhm.
stuck. Not in storage. We can go every month or every third month, change the rates.
Yeah.
It's a big difference, but I
Yeah.
love it. To answer your question, oh my God, I love it.
Mhm.
That show, and it's not too far fetched of what we do in our storage sites.
Yeah.
Public storage, it's all online now as
Mhm.
far as auctioning, and you can go online, see the auctions, buy it, and go in the unit and take all the stuff.
That's cool. That's cool. Can you talk for a second, Bill, about you mentioned drive-through, right? Can you
Yeah.
talk about that for a second? Because I've never in my life heard of a storage facility that has a drive-through. I mean, can you get fries with that? I mean, it's right. I mean, I'm just asking, right?
Bill, wait a minute. We have to wait a minute. Maybe we can put a McDonald's in there. What do you think?
I love it. I love it.
Okay,
So
well, you heard it here first.
that's right.
Come on
That's
now.
right.
I gotta get some
That's
credit for the idea,
Here's
right?
an ice cream cone.
Right, right.
so we
Yeah.
when we did the car washes, the family office happened to have a hot dog empire that they sold.
Oh, there you go.
And when we opened up the first one, and and the city came over there for the grand opening, we jokingly said, when you go through there, we just be feeding you guys hot dogs and
Right,
fries.
right.
Obviously, didn't work with the water, but
Yeah.
yeah, the drive-through, I got to tell you, is a really really cool and unique aspect. And we have speed doors here in when we did the car washes, right? So you opens it up, you go in there, and it quickly closes down. And it's very similar to what we're doing in the self storage. And you can, it's usually 1 or 2 cars wide and
Mhm.
about 3 cars deep. So when you're in the middle of November, December, it really doesn't have to be November, December. It could be raining out. It could be just
Yeah.
the middle of the summertime. You want to be air conditioned. You drive through there and you pull obviously all the way to the other end and you unload your stuff. And it's really great. It's easier to get to your units from the inside if you drive through.
Sure.
And then the speed door opens in the front and then you drive out. So it's only one way in and one way out.
So you
And
drive in the first door, it closes behind you.
right.
Where's your storage unit?
Mhm.
So Some of them are literally next to you, but
Okay.
otherwise there's a lot of hallways. Then you'll take the hallway to the elevator
Gotcha.
if you got to go to the second or third floor.
Gotcha. So you're parked and you're just unloading indoors.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
got
you're
you.
unloading indoors. It is
I got
You can
you.
be you
cool.
can have like 2 or 4 cars, like 4 cars at the same time inside.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Sometimes it's 3 cars deep and then usually 1 or 2 lanes wide. So in theory, you could have up to 6. It really
6.
depends. If we have a lot of room and a lot of land, we'll build it 2 wide, 3 deep. If not, then you have to just set it back a little bit.
Yeah, you do what you can, but
Espe
man, I love
especially
that concept.
especially in the Chicago, if it's negative 10 degrees outside, oh my
Yeah.
god,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
wanna be inside.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah.
So can we get sausage McMuffins with egg?
Well,
Yes.
you know what? Ask us
mean-
in a year from now, maybe.
Or at least like a Caribou coffee or Starbucks, something
Yeah.
while you're going there, right?
Oh, I'm
love
all
it.
for it, man.
I love
I
it.
think I'm all about it. I think this is a great idea.
Yeah. It's
So
part of the Litton experience, right?
there you go. There you go,
There you go.
baby.
I love it.
So it is, by the way, right? I mean, you tell me, you've been doing this now for less than an hour. Has this been an experience?
You know what? All jokes aside, this is probably my 5th or 6th podcast, and not that the other ones weren't equally as good, but I love the energy. You really deliver really, a great show. I was able to listen to a couple of your shows yesterday and actually earlier this morning just to get the flavor of the show, and I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
you
too.
literally walked away going, "This guy's nuts." I know.
No,
know.
it's great.
No.
No, it's great. No, I
No.
agree with that.
I really
let's
do
have a
dig this
beer.
though. I enjoy people. I dig people. I hide it
Yeah.
well, right? But I really enjoy people. And
Yeah.
so getting your stories is just like the coolest thing for me. And I love I love where it goes, right? Because you never
Yeah.
know. Like guys, you never know. You never know
don't.
what you're gonna find or what you're gonna hear. And I had people that I had one guy that got up from an interview a year ago and he said, when's this going live? And I said, it'd probably be a couple months. And he goes, okay, I gotta go. And I said, what's up? He goes, I just told you 6 things I haven't told my wife. I gotta go home and tell her, right? And I'm like,
That's
what?
funny.
That's a compliment,
great.
right? If I
That's
can
it.
if I can get that kind of stuff, So I interviewed somebody who's really prominent right now, and on a lot of podcasts and that kind of thing. And when we finished, she said, nobody's ever asked me that. I've never talked about that before. And it was like, yeah, we did our
Yeah.
job, right? We were
exactly
able to
right.
pull some things that nobody else was able to get. So okay, so real quick, if somebody's looking to invest in self-storage, which I think, by the way, is an amazing investment. If somebody's looking to invest in self-storage, how do they reach you? Are you looking for investors?
Yes. I only hesitate because we typically work with family offices or private equity funds, but we're really expanding. And in the past, we've raised capital through private placements. In fact, I'll plug myself. I'm writing a book right now. It's called Peeling Back the Onion,
Mhm.
and it's a step by step guide on PPM compliance. And the reason I started it is a lot of my friends see things on Facebook and they're like, "Hey, man, I can make 30% return investing in multifamily. Hey, I can do whatever investing in this and this. And what do you think about it?" And the first thing I think about is, well, nobody should be talking about returns on Facebook because that's an SEC violation.
Right.
And I'm not sitting there to chase anybody or say anything bad, but
Right.
it's like you really need to do it the right way. So
Yeah.
if we do raise money from individuals, let's say you said, "Hey, Bill, I'm sitting in a couple hundred grand, and tell me some more." If you're an accredited investor, so
Mhm.
we'll first vet you out to make sure that you're an accredited investor. And for your listeners, I'm sure most of them know what that is. You need to have a certain dollar amount, $1 million net worth or more, not including your primary residence, or you made $250,000 or more in the last 2 or 3 years. But we have a third party administrator. They're called Verivest. They will do the background to make sure that you're an accredited investor. And if you are, then we would send you our private placement memorandum and
Mhm.
talk to you about all the risks. Because in anything, there's risks, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's the greatest thing in the world, there's risk of losing money. You need to understand that. And if you're an accredited investor and you understand the risks, then we'd love to talk to you about investing with our deals because we do like people.
Mhm.
A typical deal we raise about $5 million, about a $15 million project. $10 million is debt. We'll go to a regular lender to get that debt, and the
Mhm.
$5 million would come from investors. If it's not a family office or a fund or private equity, then you need 50 people at $100,000 each, and we don't
Yeah.
want to have 50 people.
Yeah.
Even though we have a third party administrator that would do all the reporting for you, it'd be great if we had 5 friends at $1 million,
Yeah.
right? Or 10 at $500,000. So the short answer is yes. If anybody wants any information, they could email us at info at self dash or hyphen storage and developers is plural.com. So info at self hyphen storage developers.com. And
Mhm.
Ben or I would reach out to you and talk to you about it. And if you're interested, we just want to make sure that you're an accredited investor before we give you more information. But yeah,
Absolutely.
we love friends. I have friends of
Yeah.
mine and family members that are involved.
Good.
It's great. It's a
I
great
And
love it.
then there's also a tax component too, Bill. Maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. So, with a big, beautiful bill that was recently passed, they extended or added back the bonus depreciation. The
Mhm.
cool thing, we did this with the car washes too. There's a lot of moving parts in the self storage, right? You got the doors that go up and down.
Yeah.
You got the walls that could be taken, off at any time because these are storage units, right?
Mhm.
So with that, we usually hire a firm that'll do also a 179D, which is for energy efficiency, right?
Mhm.
So if you have solar, number one, which also is another whole thing, you got solar tax credits, you got
Yeah.
carbon offsets that you can sell on the open market that investors want to invest in. But between all of those, your accelerated depreciation, your bonus depreciation, your 179D, and tax credits, I'm sorry, solar tax credits,
Mhm.
there's a lot of passive income that investors have that they can accelerate in year one with us.
And that can pass through to them?
Yeah, all of it passes through them. Ben and I don't
Awesome.
take that. So the way we set up our investment vehicles is each one obviously is its own investment, its own LLC, typically a Delaware LLC. And we will sell what we say is the A shares that go to all the investors, and that's the money. So all the pass through and all the tax benefits all go to the investors.
Gotcha.
Ben and I will also purchase some of those shares so the investors know that we have skin in the game more than just sweat equity.
Mhm.
And we purchase some of those. But before we bring the investors in, I think we do something that's unique. Maybe, other people do it the same way. We tie up the property with our own money. We
Mhm.
spend our own money on getting it entitled, getting it rezoned. We have a site right now that had some EPA issues. We're cleaning that up with our own money. We're not taking the
Mhm.
investors' money and doing it later, and we're getting the permits ready. So all architects, soil borings, everything's ready. Then when we're ready to go vertical, we'll do a closing. We'll fund the money with the investors and the lender. We'll reimburse ourselves, obviously, for all that money, but all of our money is 100% at risk.
Yeah, but that's
Yep.
your skin in the game too, right?
Well,
Yeah. Totally.
absolutely,
Yeah.
Totally.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
that's a big deal, man. That's a big
Yeah.
deal. Okay, so would the LLC own the McDonald's that you're putting in the unit?
Yes.
So you're giving me
Absolutely.
royalties on?
Absolutely.
Only
So
ice cream plate. Only the ice
there you go.
cream.
Oh, ice cream. There you go. I thought it was hot dogs, man. Come on. So Bill, you're writing a book.
I am.
Will you come back on and we'll go send me a copy of the book, come
Oh,
back on and we'll
I'd
we'll
love
talk
it.
about it?
Love it. It's the first time I'm writing. I've never had a desire to write it. And it's just, you got that little thing that's just bothering you. The thing that's
Yeah.
bothering me is my friends calling me and telling me how much money they can make on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm like, guys, again, it's not legal. What they're saying
Mhm.
is not correct. They're violating all these SEC laws. And I said, you know what? I'm going to write something. So I
Yeah.
wrote it. I finished it. Now I just need to edit it. And I'd like to get it out there for free. I'm not looking to make a dime out of it.
Yeah.
And then, I'd love to come on and talk to you about food insecurity. I
Yeah.
started a charity 14 years ago. We've packaged 9 million meals that we've delivered locally in Chicagoland.
Good job,
I'm part of
man.
a larger international organization, and we've done 800 million meals internationally.
Yeah.
Been to the White House, got awards from former President Barack Obama and George W. and the award for the work that our charity has done. And it's a passion. It's it's
Awesome.
talking to the kids, getting them involved. How do we teach people?
That's why Bill and I are giving back to the community, right?
Yeah.
Helping out. And it's all important. I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. And it's got to feel good, Ben, after all those stories that you heard and all those people that you dealt with. Man, it's got to feel good to be able to give something back and help.
It really does. You know what Bill does and the organization that I've helped out many times with Bill in a lot of the events. to give back and for people who are definitely food challenged.
Yeah. And
At Oakton
veterans,
College, we have a caring closet, and a lot of the students they don't have money for food,
Mm.
right?
and people don't know that. Food. You don't have a sign with people say, I'm starving or I'm really hungry, and people don't say anything. It's quiet. It's a
Right.
Yeah.
quiet thing. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
People
Yeah.
suffer in
He's right.
silence, man.
He's right.
it's what it is. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mike. That's what it is. People are suffering in silence.
That's
Yeah, it's
right.
exactly what it is.
Ben, you hit
Well,
it right on the
guys,
point.
what does tomorrow look like for self-storage developers?
Well,
Literally tomorrow or the future?
Yeah, literally tomorrow and the future.
So tomorrow
Later
I'm going on
today,
vacation.
right?
Yeah. We were at our facility this morning. And I'll tell you, it was really cool. I told you, I mentioned this earlier. We did a walkthrough, but our fund was in town. That
Yeah.
was a partner there. And, again, to pat ourselves on our back, they said that we're one of the best performing asset managers they've ever had in their fund, which is great to hear.
Awesome.
But we work hard at it, and we're always looking out for the investors and doing a lot of the work up front,
Yeah.
right? So when we go into a new market, we go through a whole process, Ben and I, before we even take it to like a public or an extra space to see if they would even be interested in investing in it. So we try to find a pocket. We look at the demographics, and by demographics, we're looking at, how many of the people in the 3 mile area are renters, because renters seem to be a lot of your clients, right? The population has to be dense. So we're looking for areas that are very populated. And then we're also looking at, the medium household income in there.
Yeah.
And then you look at something called the per capita, like how much space is in a market in relation or in proportion to how many people live in that market, right?
Right.
The lower that number, obviously, the better chances. Once we find an area, like we found one in Palmdale, California, to give you an example, we love it. And we work with the city first to make sure, hey, do you want it or don't you want it? Is it going to be an uphill battle, or we're going to fight, assuming they like it, or it's going to be a short battle? Then we talk to our consultants, and they tell us who else is developing in the area, what else is going on. And then we pick up like I like to say, remember Batman, the old comic, right? He had the bat line to the commissioner, right? So our commissioner bat line phone is to public or to extra and say, are you guys building something in the area that we don't know about? Number one, are you interested in expanding in this area? And if they say yes, they take it up the ladder, and we know it's something good, then we'll tie it up. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of stuff in our pipeline.
Yeah, and to answer your question, 3 to 4 projects a year.
All
We're
right.
definitely on the expansion phase here. And
Yeah.
I always say one little short phrase that we don't just build storage, we design wealth vehicles. And that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the bus that keeps on going, and
Yeah.
it's absolutely going fast right now.
Yeah.
And I love to have, people aboard that bus
Yeah.
with
Well,
us.
I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you.
You really have done amazing work, and I'm super proud of how you're giving back to the community and everything you're doing.
Thank you.
That's just awesome. Don't forget that McDonald's thing, by the way.
I won't.
Guys, thank you so much for being our guest.
Can
Thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. I appreciate it. It's great to meet you.
I put a
Thank
plug
you.
in for the food insecurity?
Absolutely.
All right, it's the number 6.org. So anybody that wants to help us pack these meals, we do 100,000 meals every year in November for veterans. So this November, we're partnering up with the Chicago Wolves, which is a hockey team here. We're going to pack 100,000 meals for veterans. So anybody want to go on there and show up and help us pack those meals, we'd love it. So
Feed6.org. Feed the number 6.org.
You got it. Thank you,
Awesome.
Mike. We appreciate you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
guys.
Mike.
Great to meet you. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks.
Can I ask you a question? Did you know that there's a technology that uses sound waves that'll tell your brain what to do? There literally is. It's called newcalm.com. It can tell your brain to heal, tell your brain to sleep, tell your brain to do all kinds of things. It can get you fired up. It can be a pre-workout. Newcalm.com. And the promo code is Mike15. Newcalm.com, promo code Mike15 for an extra 15% off. Go today.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at the Mike Litton Experience.